Welcome back, everyone, to Body and Soil. And first of all, Happy New Year! Yay! I can't even tell you what it feels like to have 2025 over. Although while I'm recording this, I'm still sitting in 2025. I haven't next week is Christmas, and I'm really looking forward to that because it's really time to relax and finally relax. It's been an ongoing, powerful 2025. I don't know how your year has been, but what I wanted to share with you and give to you a little gift in 2026, because I already see a lot of magical, amazing moments coming up. First of all, I'm going to give myself a gift today. I'm gonna promise myself not to edit this podcast in any way, but to leave it 100% authentic as it is, with all my ums and e's and my imperfection, because it's one of the things that I learned this year is to just let go of my perfection, even though everybody here in the team will say I'm a perfectionist, and I am. But I'm working on letting that go, because it just kills you to try to always be perfect and make everything perfect. You just end up being frustrated and beating yourself up. So this is what I'm going to do, just to save my personal time. So what I wanted to give you in 2026 is basically a few of my points of the approaches of Body and Soul, the ones that we take to move forward. And it's I feel it's a very unique approach, and it's a very personal approach as well, because it connects also my personal journey and what I've learned in the last years. And I think these steps are steps that anybody can use. And this is not just steps that people can use in an organization working in Africa or when you're starting a new project, but anywhere in the world. I feel like if you're following your intuition and really closely connected to yourself and to your authenticity, I think that is the most important and the most powerful weapon any person can have to building anything. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because this is the way we're going to further move as a team towards our next goals. And so I'm just going to start because it kind of also tells the story of how this 2025 was for me personally, building Body and Soil. And so, yeah, let's get started. The first one that I would like to share with you when you're starting anything, and that's just start where you are. Start and then move. I remember when I first came here in 2024, Samuel Nyanzi came to me and he said, Maria, we didn't have the money, nothing to start this vision. And I knew that we were going to do it. I think that's the most important thing. You have to know where you're going. But Samuel said to Maria, just come. Let's just start with what we have. Start with the knowledge you have. Anything you're starting, you have something. You obviously have something to start with. And I just want to give an example. For example, when I started, I didn't know how to build a website. I've built 2 websites since. I didn't know how to start a YouTube channel. We've started a YouTube channel. I didn't know how to give a class. I've given so many classes. I didn't know how to stand in front of people and talk. I have to stand in front of people and talk all the time. Now, like, I didn't know how to do a podcast, and I'm sitting here doing a podcast. I didn't know how to make a financial table. How do I do, when you're starting a project like this, it's not a project for me, but when you're working together with more people and you need funding and you need to know how much money do you need, you have to you can't just sit there and write on a piece of paper and add it up. Or when people come to you asking for money, like, I've never done this before. But what I realized along the path, or along building Body and Soul, establishing it, I never established a company before. You just do it. You Googled it. You find out, how am I supposed to do this? And then you just do it. You can take a course. You can go online. You can do a YouTube course. Nothing is impossible as long as you know where you're going. I had the other day something really amazing happening. I have Jennifer, and she's our cleaning lady, but she's so much more than that. She came to us in a phase in her life where she was really at the bottom, at the very bottom of everything. She was like, she hardly had enough money to feed her children. She was feeding her children just maize, and she had 4 kids. She just was not surviving. She was sick, and she, yeah, just was really at the end of her rope. And when we hired her, and she now she's running the canteen. She's had through Body and Soul trainings in how to sew. She sews for people clothes, and her approach, this is why I'm explaining this to you, because I mean, for me, Jennifer, I'm going to maybe explain about her a little bit later on the podcast, but Jennifer is for me one of the successes, one of the things that shows how successful the holistic approach of Body and Soul is, because we let her just take what she loves. Her goal is to become a trainer one day. And we gave her the opportunity not just to clean, but I said, do you want to be part of this sewing training, for example, where we sew um, bags to be used as shopping bag. So I asked her, do you want to be part of it? And she said, yes, for sure. And now she's able to cover all the school fees of her children. She is able to pay for healthy food for her children. She is amazing, like so active. And why I'm talking about all of this, about not knowing like what you want, what you have to do. She didn't know all the steps either. She says to me sometimes, Maria, I never, nobody ever taught me how to stand in a canteen and sell products. And she stands there. It was her own free will to stand in the RUCID canteen and just to start selling products. And some people come to her and ask her, can you make for me, for example, a dress? And she's never made a dress in her life. But what she said to me is, I say yes. I just say yes. And then I sit down, and she uses her new smartphone that she's invested in since she's been earning more money. And she looks on YouTube, and she learns how to make a dress. But she doesn't tell them beforehand that she doesn't know how to make that dress. But I was listening to her, and I was like, wow, that's exactly the approach that you're supposed to take. Whether it be how to make a website, whether it be how to make a dress, just do it. Start with what you have and then move forward. And I promise you, something happens. Maybe you bump into something and you think, oh, well, okay, maybe I need an expert in that area. But the thing is that you don't have to be scared. If you do feel scared about it, maybe it's a good thing, because you're in your uncomfortable zone. And that uncomfortable zone is where real development and change happens. It's where you get uncomfortable, not where what you're comfortable in. What you're comfortable in, you can do in your sleep. What I'm comfortable in is like storytelling, taking photos. How do I do this and that? I can do that in my sleep. I can, if somebody says, go and I need this and this photographed, I know exactly what I need to do. But where it gets uncomfortable, that's where you grow. And so embrace that uncomfortableness, embrace that area, that zone of not knowing where you are, just starting and moving forward. That's really the number one thing that I would give anybody as a first approach, and that's our approach for Body and Soul as well. And then, of course, in that process, this point two for me in that process will be just allow the imperfection. If it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. Next time it will be more perfect. Jennifer showed me this dress that she made for her daughter, and I thought it looked perfect. And then she turns the dress around and she says, yeah, but look here, the seams is not perfect yet. And I was thinking, wow, I didn't even see that. But for me, it's like things like I make a website and I say, okay, the text is not perfect. I'm like, okay, I just got to get it out there. It's got to be done. As soon as it's out there, it's official. That means you've taken the next step. You've taken aligned action to walking towards your vision. And that's the most important thing, not the perfection. If I look sometimes at our guest rooms here that we built, or the classroom, walk into the classroom, the Body and Soul kitchen classroom, and I'm looking at the floor. I'm like, wow, there are cracks everywhere. How did that happen? Or even though I just did the floor in the beginning of the year, we renovated the classroom. I renovated the four guest rooms here at the RUCID Organic College. And they're beautiful, they're cozy, they're warm, they're welcoming, they're homey. You feel really, really nice. Everybody that come here feels the warmth and the energy. But when I go in there and I look inside the corners and I see the bathroom's not painted properly, the wall wasn't painted properly, and I'm like, okay, nobody else sees this. You can always correct it, but just move forward. And I think that's the most important thing. And then you can always adjust, but just move forward and embrace those imperfections. That will be my point two for you. Then I think point three, and this is one of the most, ah, the base of body and soil, it's the holistic approach. Because, of course, it's the holistic approach from soil to plate. And I just want to, as a holistic approach, I think that's something that a lot of organizations they do. When I see like outside organizations doing other projects, which I don't believe in so strongly, because often I don't believe in at all, actually. Not so strongly. I don't believe in it at all. Because if you take one aspect, let's say agriculture, and you say, let's train farmers in, let's say, how to plant chia seeds properly, how to plant a specific crop. What you're not looking at is, for example, what is the farmer growing for himself? How long is that farmer going to be healthy? How are those chia seeds actually going to reach the market here in Uganda? Or if they have the potential to be exported, does that farmer really know how he's supposed to hygienically process these things if, let's say, the partners are to go away? If the project is not going to be funded anymore, what is he going to do with all those fields of chia seeds, for example? And that's the biggest problem. Like people are just looking at one thing. I'm going to give you an example of the body. If we look at the body as a whole, if you're missing your teeth, if you're missing a leg, if you're missing um, a limb or fingers, or I don't know what, all of a sudden the rest of your body is, of course, affected by it. Or if you're sick and you keep consistently getting a specific illness, but you keep going to the doctor and saying, I'm sick, give me antibiotics or give me this, and you take whatever, you keep having a cold, but you're not looking at the core reason why you're sick. Maybe you're not eating healthy. Maybe you're not moving enough. Maybe you're stressed. Maybe you're not sleeping enough. So when we look at challenges or when we want to change something, regardless of what area of life we're working in, we have to, I strongly believe, holistic approach is the only way, the only answer to really move forward to create change that is going to move something. I keep thinking about the word lasting change and sustainability. And for me, the word sustainability basically means that we're staying the same. And lasting, I've kept thinking about the word lasting because a lot of times they're in these sentences, lasting change, sustainable change, blah, 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 you know, all the words. But when I think about nothing can last, everything is evolving consistently. So why do we want lasting change? It can't last. It has to evolve. It has to keep moving. And that's why when I say holistic solutions, they have to be something that are going to move, consistently evolve to form whatever it is that the future needs. Because even when we talk about regenerative farming, for example, it means you're regenerating something, but maybe in 10 years from now, we're going to have other solutions that we have to integrate into those things as well. And when I look at, for example, health, right? When we talk about holistic health, 20 years ago, nobody was talking about um, gut health, the importance of gut health. We didn't know those solutions yet. They've just come up about our microbiome, how over 70% of our immune system is in our gut. These are things that we didn't know until the last 10, 15 years. And so when we talk about lasting change or things changing, it has to move with the time that's happening. I think that's really important. But always, always, and that is the 100% number one approach of body and soul, looking at things as a whole. When we look at nutrition, what are we growing in the fields? What do we need to grow in the fields to create health in your body, but also to create a healthy market? So, what are the steps that need to be taken? For example, when we're looking at the schools that we're working with, we go out there and we see the garbage in the fields. Now, of course, we could say, okay, what do we need? We need to stress more about garbage, the health, the plastic that is sinking into the garbage and creating toxins and all those things. But nagging, what we realized, doesn't help. Collecting doesn't help either. You have to find an incentive that encourages the people to actually pick up the garbage. So, firstly, can there be a money incentive? Can there be a way that we can create garbage bins that actually creates an income for the people? Another way was through the sewing, what I'm going to go back to, because maybe you think, well, that's not part of agriculture. That's not part of food. But if we don't create a solution that encourages people, or that's not part of the food system, it's not part of a healthy food system is not, oh, let's do a workshop in how to make shopping bags. But what we realize is that if we can create a movement that encourages people to take their bag and wear it with no cavera, we've created these shopping bags out of secondhand materials that women are making right now. We've trained women to make, and we've started a movement. And the children all wear these no cavera bags. That means when they go shopping, when they're in their homes now, these no cavera bags, which means in Uganda, no plastic, they're wearing it, and right away it starts a movement. So just the other, I don't know, it was last week, the week before, we went to the children's homes after school. We had a big competition. I might have to talk about that in a second as well. But what we noticed is that children had created bins in their own homes. They had set up signs saying no plastic, no cavera in their homes. And this doesn't happen when you just go around and say, pick up your garbage. This happens when you inspire people to say, this is the solution that we're giving you. We're giving you beautiful, stylish shopping bags that say no cavera on them. When you go, you're walking around with it, you feel proud, you feel beautiful, and you're carrying a message. Then people start picking up the garbage. So this is what I mean with holistic approaches. When you're growing your garden, don't just think about we need maize to fill, but we need foods that are going to feed our immune system, that are going to feed our microbiome. So the holistic approach and everything is what really is creating Body and Soil, is what Body and Soil is built on. So that is number 3, holistic approach. And number 4 kind of connects to holistic approach. It's letting things grow organically. So we didn't notice, for example, that we needed those plastic, those plastic we didn't need, but those shopping bags until we were out into the fields and we were like, this isn't working. How can we create something that maybe could create an income and inspire people to pick up their garbage? Now, for example, let me go back to Jennifer, to our cleaning lady. She's actually teaching students from nearby schools, whoever wants to, they come by, they bring 1,000 shillings, which is around 25 cents, euro cents, and learn from her how to make these plastic bags in their period of their vacation time. So this is not something that I even suggested to her. She just does it out of her own free will because her goal is to become a trainer. And she just does it. She's not waiting for me to say, I'm going to train you to become a trainer. She just does it because this is what she wants to do. And she wants to help children because she had a very hard childhood in whatever way she can. So this is also part of growing organically, seeing what people are you taking on board? Are these people that are just getting paid for a 9-to-5 job, or are these people that are really inspired about what they are doing, growing together? For example, yeah, that is exactly what I want to say. And then I looked at my notes and then I got totally distracted. And that's also something I never really plan maybe something that I should do more, but I feel like always, for example, when I have to give, I do plan a class, but when I have to lead a meeting, I only think very shortly ahead of time what I'm going to say, because I always feel like when I plan too much ahead, I kind of get stuck in that planning. And that also happens to me in the beginning of Body and Soul. People were coming to me saying, Maria, you need to write business plan. And you can start feeling a little bit insecure when people start coming to you saying, You need to write a business plan. Where's your this and this?" And I strongly believe that you need a plan. You need a financial plan. You need to know how much money you need to reach a certain goal. You need to know how much money you need to for a month. You need to know your fixed costs. I'm not saying just totally go out there and just not have any sort of structure. Structure is important. But what you don't need is to have all the steps of knowing what the steps are going to be to get to a certain place, because you just do not know. You just don't know. You don't know if something's going to happen the next day that's going to knock you off your plan that your business plan, or standing like. Also, that's why I think, again, coming back to projects, I believe do not work, that are like just where their foundation is basically, these are the goals you need to reach. These are the genders you need to work with. These are the steps you need to take. Because when you're out there in the fields, when you're working on certain things, all of a sudden you realize, no, this isn't working. But because everything is already predetermined, you're forced into staying a certain path, going a certain path that you're not supposed to be on. You're maybe supposed to turn right to reach the goal. Maybe you're supposed to take a left. I remember working in projects where I was supposed to interview people just because that's what the project said that I was supposed to do. So instead of spending my time doing productive things, I was supposed to sit there and interview people for a job where we already had the person for the job. And you're thinking, huh, is this really what I'm supposed to do? Like, I was supposed to um, work with a certain amount of people and that number, or determine a certain amount of the I don't know, developed certain amount of projects that were supposed to be in that project. Where I was sitting there, I was like scratching my head saying, but I don't have any other ideas what I'm supposed to do. This is ridiculous. It was so predetermined that there was no space for creativity, and no space for going the paths, for taking the paths that actually were being offered, obviously, organically in front of your eyes. But because we weren't allowed to do that, you had to take the other path. And of course, you can't have progress that way. Progress does not work by force. It grows, it comes organically. And that is in every area of life. Also, if relationships, if you force anything, it just doesn't work. You have to let things grow organically. And I think that's so, so important. It's the same with how I decided to work with people. When I realize I need a certain person for a job, the funny thing is, what happens is I put it out there, and I believe strongly in attracting things and not chasing. So I believe in the law of attraction, and I just put it out in the universe, and I say, for example, I need someone to help me build our seed bank. I need someone to help us document our plants. I just put it out there. I start talking about it. I put it out in our stories. Not even that we're looking for somebody. I just talk about what we're doing. And then we found someone. Then we found Joshua. He came to me. He said, Maria, I'm so passionate about this. I want to help you do this and this. And I was like, wow, I didn't even have to look for that person. Or we had an issue, we had an apiary here that had huge potential, but nobody really had the skill set, and RUCID was not able to, or they didn't have anybody that was knowledgeable in the skill set of building a apiary. So all of a sudden, out of the blue, and I wasn't even thinking about it really, but it was always in the back of my head. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, a former colleague reached out to me and said, that just happened to be an expert in apiary, Maria, do you need help with your beehives? And I was like, how does he even know that we have beehives? Anyway, so he's been here since 3 months now, pushing. And there was one moment where he said to me, it was like, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and he said, Maria, came to me so excited. Ben, he said to me, Maria, I'm so excited. The bees are coming. The hives are being colonized in 2 months. Really, really amazing work. He just took the basic, like what we had here. He fixed up the beehives. He started working. I think we have around 30 beehives now. We had nothing 3 months ago. or we had three, I think we had three beehives 3 months ago, and now we have like 30. And he came to me and he said, Maria, the beehives are being colonized. I feel like crying. I'm so happy. I see my work like flourishing. And it's also because I'm giving him that space. We, Body and Soil, is giving him that space to flourish. And I've never seen someone, I mean, I've seen here at Body and Soul, I see people doing their job and being so excited about it. Be it the chef, be it Ben and Apiari, be it Jennifer, the cleaning lady, be it Stewart, who is the project manager of Body and Soul, who goes out there and says, I've learned so much. Or Bonnie, our chef, that says, Maria, in this year, in this one year, I had these visions of where I wanted to go. But since Body and Soul came, all of a sudden those visions have been expanded and I've grown so much. And I think you can only let people grow and expand if they have the space to do it organically. So that's, again, organic growth is the number one of the key, yes, building blocks that we build on, that we work with. Having that vision always in place where we're going, but still letting it grow organically. And which leads me to the next point of when you're growing organically, you pick the people you're working with through organic growth, but then you invest in those people's talents. So not giving somebody a an assignment that they don't want to do, not giving a chef an assignment to go and work in the field, in the garden work, because that's not his area. It's not where he's going to be good at. Not giving Ben, that is passionate in working with bees, the assignment to go and work on a compost, for example. So where are the things that people want to really grow in, and how can we invest in those talents? Or giving Joshua, who is an artist actually, who's working right now on our in 2026, he's going to be focusing on working on establishing our home pharmacy together with other experts, like, so how can we use his talents? He's extremely talented in documenting, and he's passionate about documenting local herbs and finding medicinal properties. And I was like, how amazing is that? That someone like that comes to me, comes to Body and Soul and says, Maria, please invest in this idea. But please help me through Body and Soul to invest in building this home pharmacy. And I was like, that's what we want. And now we found the perfect person to do that. And I think also, um, that is like so important. But like also there, I wanted to just go one step back again to growing organically, because as soon as you start growing organically and following the law of attraction, the things you do not know how to do will come. So, what I've noticed this year is I've had this idea of growing together with experts, bringing in experts. I didn't know how to do it. I just put myself out there as a storyteller and started telling the story, started just growing and working here with RUCID, or with the Organic College, starting together here as a small team, moving together as a small team, everybody using their expertise as much as we could to grow from soil to plate, to develop ideas, to develop this, I say, the starting of a curriculum from soil to plate in school gardens, in school menus, in the communities where we're seeing all of these things happen right now at this moment. Please read the blog post, or I send out, just on a side note, I send out a blog every single month, and you get, if you read it, you'll definitely be up to date on what we're actually doing. I really try to also guide you there in a personal way, because it is a personal story. In any case, what happened in this year is that the experts have just come. They've written me. They said, Maria, we want to come and visit Body and Soul. We want to come and visit RUCID. For example, we've had IMED Vision coming from South Africa, South African organization that is focused on also on looking for solutions in a holistic approach, but more from a medicinal point of view, and also from herbal looking for herbal medicine that can, or medicinal plants, sorry, medicinal plants that can really strengthen you and still finding. So together we're going to be working next year and seeing how can we actually find the solutions together. I'm envisioning there with their um, medical background and their background in community development in South Africa and our expertise in working with the local communities, looking at the local herbs. Then we have somebody coming to help us with our syntropic gardens and to build more scalable solutions in that area. But what I'm wanting to say is these people did not come by force. I put it out in the universe. I put the message out there, and they're just coming to us. The right people will come to you, the right experts. The answers will come to you if you let it go and let it just grow organically. And I'd like to. So yeah, that was the one point. Now, let's go to the next point. I'm almost coming to an end. I can't believe it. Um, Embracing conflict, however uncomfortable, because when you're working together with a team, you will notice you have to be super honest and open. And I've had situations here working with local partners, working with my main partner, the RUCID Organic College, where we sit together and we have discussions. And I'm almost sometimes at the point, I'll be super honest, of wanting to stand up and leave. Just get up, pack my bags, go, because it gets so uncomfortable. My heart starts racing, beating, and I get all red in the face. I feel like at least that I'm getting red in the face. I don't think I do anymore, but I used to. And this conflict is highly nerve-wracking. It is insane. And I feel like we discuss things from totally different angles, right? So they're coming from their perspective, I'm coming from my perspective, and we clash sometimes. But that clash is so important. And it's not just important for partnership, professional partnership to move forward, because again, you're coming into that uncomfortable zone of that unknown zone of what's going to happen. How is that other person going to see you? Are they maybe going to just take off, or what's going to happen? Like, can you find a solution to this clash? But exactly that moment is the moment of growth. It's the moment where something new can develop. As long as you keep things to yourself, you cannot grow. You can't grow as a team. You can't grow in a relationship. You can't grow in a friendship. If you keep things to yourself, you have to be open to uncomfortable situations, to getting upset, to all those things. And I think that's where growth happens. So embracing those moments is also something that I want to continue doing in this year, however scary it might be, because I hate confrontation. It really scares the shit out of me. But yeah, really embracing that is so, so important. And that's something that I would definitely give to anybody starting anything. Just don't be afraid of it. Just go full force on and say, if we're going to have this conversation, let's have it now. Let's get it out on the table and let's move forward. And I think one of the last things that I would really like to close with, this is my personal, I think, learning of the year is trusting, because so much has happened in this year where it was not in my control. I didn't have the funding in the beginning of this year. I had a bit of funding, but I didn't have enough. And I was looking for partners and who could fund. And I didn't know how to do this. How do you get partners? How do you get people to fund what your vision? How do you get people inspired? And in the beginning, I started with the people I knew, my small circle that I could inspire. And I had, of course, through what I've done through Eating with Africa, I have a credibility, and through my storytelling, I was able to inspire people to fund my vision in the beginning, but it was definitely not enough. And finding the right partner, who is now funding Body and Soil, the main partner, was a journey, and it was so scary. And just believing so strongly in what your vision is, in building a holistic center, in this case for Body and Soul, building a holistic center that connects soil health and nutrition and ways to reach the market, I believe in it so strongly that I had to trust that whatever happens, the right person, the right partners are going to find body and soil. And that sometimes when things would happen that I thought this is supposed to be the right person, this is supposed to be the right partner, and it turned out not to be, to accept and let it go. To say, and I had to do that also in my relationships. I had friends that I had to let go because of, yeah, because they weren't anymore representing when we were together what I represent, what I want with my life. And I had to trust that when I let these people go, that new people will come in their place. And it's happened. I've had new magical people come into my life, people that are giving me meaning, people that I have meaningful conversations with, people that make me laugh. I have the right partners supporting body and soul. And that doesn't mean that in the next years it'll be growing. Body and soul is going to be growing more and more. How it will be developing, I don't know. I know that we need to reach the market, that the goal is to reach the market with healthy products. The goal is to create a cycle that supports people from the ground up, meaning their health, the farmers, that they can grow more healthy foods, the youth, that they can eat more healthy foods in the kitchens, in their schools, in the diets, in their gardens, that we can spread the message of healing, not in a way of, in a way that, yeah, that connects, that also supports people's livelihoods. That's so important. And I think other solutions will come from it. What products will come from it, I don't know. And what partners we're going to need for it, I don't know yet. And the thing is that you don't have to know it. You don't have to know all the answers. You don't have to have the business plan for the next 10 years. What you do need is the vision of where you're going, the rough steps. And you need to know your approach. That's why I'm sharing this with you today. The approach is so important. How are you going to take those steps? How are you going to handle people? How are you going to deal with people? And I had to end this it was a few days ago. We sat together, our last meeting of the year. And I was thinking, how are we going to discuss this meeting? Should I start with all the things that went wrong? Should I start with all the things that went right? How do I do it? Or should I start with where we want to be? And then Bonnie came to me, our chef at Body and Soil, and he said, Maria, I said, Bonnie, or let's put it the other way. I said, Bonnie, where do you want to be? Like, what is your goal for the next year? Where do you want to be? And he said, I want to open a cafe. And since I've been working with Body and Soil, I've realized my vision has grown. You have inspired me to expand my way of thinking. I think I've said that before, but why I'm saying this is that I realized our meeting is not going to be about the things that went wrong. Our meeting is going to be about where does each and every individual of us want to go in the next year and in the next 10 years. And from that result, we are going to decide our steps for 2026. And it was the most powerful meeting I've had because maybe for me, it was a personal growth moment where I realized I've grown as a leader in this last year. I've learned to become a leader. And that is something that I didn't know how to do. Nobody taught me how to do it. And I asked everybody where they wanted to go. And when we wrote it down on the board, what I noticed was that all of our visions connected to each other. It's so powerful. I get the chills when I just tell you about this because there were so many people that wanted to um, grow something holistic, build a holistic center, including myself. I see myself in 10 years from now building a center where people can come to heal from all parts of the world, heal really from the ground up. And because I believe in healing and holistic healing approaches, I know that's how I heal myself, and I'm on my own healing journey. And but what I want to say is that those connections were there, and I realized that is the reason. That is the approach. That is the reason why RUCID and Body and Soul is growing together so strongly. as an entity and as a team, because we are all in our personal journey wanting the same thing. And we're using body and soil as steps to get there. And I think in putting a team together, that is one of the most important things that I would ask. If I let any other person that's joining the team, any new team, or if you are putting a team together, that is what I would suggest you to also do in team building. Ask that person where they want to be. Is that company or whatever it is, that thing that you're building, going to help them? Or are they just doing it for a paycheck? Or are they just doing it for 9 to 5, for a 9 to 5 job? Of course, you can hire people too for their skills, but if they don't have an intrinsic or motivation, if they don't have a purpose, a feeling of going somewhere, then it will end. Their job will be done, but maybe it won't be done as good as it could be, because that little tiny spice, that little tiny bit of personal motivation will be missing, and you might not get there as fast, or you might not get there with that much love as you could be getting there. So that's something that I would like to give to you for 2026, those steps. So start with what you have and just move. That's number one. Then allow imperfection, allow things to develop. Think holistically, think as a body, think, see the whole picture, and then allow it to grow organically. Choose your team that with people from, choose your team from people that really want to do what they want to do, and attract, don't chase. Invest in people's talents and embrace the conflicts that come with it. And lastly, just trust the process, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen. You have to trust that the universe has your back. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, if you're following your intuition, if you're following your inner voice, then the universe has you. Trust it. It will lead you through 2026. So I'm wishing you an amazing year, and thank you for being here. And I'm really looking forward to guiding you through Body and Soil's podcast and our personal journey, creating change, finding solutions from soil to plate, and happy, happy new year. Make it an amazing 2026.